Today, we're going to visit my good friend Scott Jones. He's an expert in ancient technologies and experimental archaeology, and he's going to show us how to utilize some of these ancient techniques today, such as spear throwing, cordage, how to make fire, and stone tools. Oh, there you are, Scott.
Greetings.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you been?
Been all okay, fair to middling.
Welcome. And are you ready to do some primitive tack today?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start out with stone tools. We're going to cover 3 different methods of making sharp edge stone tools. We're going to start with something fairly simple called bipolar flaking. Anybody can do that pretty much. Then we're going to go to some percussion flaking to make slightly bigger, better things. And then we're going to learn how to use some pressure flaking to shape edges and create specialized tools and that sort of thing. So first things first, we have an anvil and a hammer. This is not blacksmithing, but this is bipolar flaking. And I want to get down here with this stuff so we can see it. Bipolar, some archaeologists don't really like it because it doesn't look much like a technique, but when you study this stuff, you begin to find that bipolar really is a method for reduction, especially if you have small materials or if the tools you're aiming for themselves are small, like micro drills and micro blades sometimes. Bipolar flaking, like the name suggests, involves 2 poles. We have a little bit of a pit that's sort of a mixed blessing sometimes with this, but what you're doing is you're using the hammer and the anvil stone to kind of pinch that rock and shear pieces off. And to do this, I'm going to demonstrate once and give you an idea. You want to do like a nail. You want to set that thing so that you know it's perfectly straight up and down so it doesn't roll over on your fingers. I've seen people put a twig around it, but that sometimes causes them to break where the twig touches it. So, but what you do is you take the hammer stone and deliver a fairly decisive blow to that raw material. Now, again, this looks very chaotic. But once you do it for a while, you realize that you produce about half a dozen different kinds of things. Sometimes you can split a little flat pebble almost perfectly in half to give you scrapers and other tools. You get things that look like what I call orange slice flakes, and then sometimes you get orange peel flakes, and you get little triangular shards that can be used for small drill points and things like that. So if you had small material that you can't work easily, bipolar is an excellent way to get into those things to create really sharp edges that you can do any number of things with. So I want you to try this.
Okay. So Scott, how old is this technique? I mean,
well, some of the oldest tools in the world may have been produced by some sort of a variation of this. Even some of the earliest hominid tools, they may have been laying rocks on another rock and using some version of this process to get the flakes off, because freehand percussion is a fairly complicated mental task for you. So it goes back a long time, and you see it for specialized industries and things like that, even into late prehistoric times. So
I'm going to give this a whirl.
You're going to give it a whirl.
I'm going to try not to hurt myself.
Yeah, try not to bipolar flake your fingers.
Right.
Yeah,
so I want to come back with all.
Most of your digits.
Most of them,
yeah.
Yes. They're important for.
Yeah, they are.
Let's see.
I tend to agree.
Now, so when I'm sticking it in there.
Let's try that one first.
That one. So that one's a little bit
easier.
more. Okay,
yeah, a little easier.
All right. So and I have it in the pit, and I'm going to.
Now you have to smack it decisively.
All right.
Tap it. There you go.
Like that?
Tap it a time or two to make sure it's straight up and down, like setting a nail. There you go. And then, oh, look at that. Okay, do it again. Woo.
Ooh. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Okay, you get it set and really rear back and hit it. Just turn it upside down if you want.
No. Let's see.
Woo.
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah, let's do this. I can get it. This is sort of like, mashing a nut.
It is.
Right?
This is like nut cracking technology. Sometimes I refer to it as monkey napping, chimp napping. Okay. But try that one. Let's do this one.
All right, this one. All right. This is a little, you gave me a bigger target.
Well, yeah, right. And make sure, really set it when you put it on there.
Okay. Let's see.
Kind of like that. And I also like to make sure that when I hit it, I've got, you don't want to damp it too much, because the more you damp it, the harder you have to hit it. If you let the rock do the work, I'm going to go back to this one for just a second. See how firm it doesn't bounce around like that.
Whoa. All right, all right, all right.
So this is the easy version.
All right. So just so it doesn't move
So it
around.
doesn't move. A good whack. There you go.
There we go.
Good job. All right, and you got kind of an orange peel flake out of that one. Now those edges don't look like they would be useful for much, but I really like steep edges sometimes for working hard materials like bone and antler because they don't shear off like the papery edges of the really razor blade like tools. So that's another good use for some of these things. So you can do it again to that rock if you want to.
Let's see.
And put it long axis up
Long
is usually
axis.
better. Yeah, that is typically the better plan.
So I got it. So
There you go.
oh,
Ah,
look at
she
that.
split. Look at that. Awesome. So if you were going to make unifacial tools, you know, arrowheads are the bifacial ones. If you're going to make a unifacial tool for scraping or planing, that's a near perfect scraper blank right there for it. So you could keep reducing that if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's try it one more time.
One more time,
Maybe
yeah.
one more time.
Lay
And
out
so
our little array of goodies over here.
let's see.
There you go. Tap. There you go.
Oh, look at
Another
that.
one. Look at that.
That's what an orange peel you said,
This is
right?
like an orange slice on this
Orange
one. but-
slice.
But yeah, one of the key identifying marks for bipolar flaking on an archaeological site when you're looking at an assemblage is this very characteristic crushing that you get on both ends of the piece. Sometimes, like this flake, they will break up and you have to have multiple examples to confirm that. But if you see that crushing, you can pretty well be assured that somebody was engaged in some sort of bipolar reduction technique.
And so with this assemblage here, you mentioned some of these byproducts used for scraping harder materials, and
Right.
And so is there anything in here that we'd use, you know, otherwise, like for softer materials?
Yeah,
like you said?
in addition to steep edges, like on the one you produced there, you get these thinner edges like that one that could be used very much as a knife or other tool. Let me grab a stick. Get the stunt stick here. All right, there we go.
Look at that.
And this is just a piece of really good milky quartz, and milky quartz is just a good material for bipolar flaking anyway, because you get lots of little pebbles of quartz in different areas. So yeah, you have everything you need. I tell people that you don't need a lot of fancy flint knapping, you know, the art of making stone tools to produce good and usable tools from small pebbles of raw material. So bipolar is a good introductory method. So
Cool.
You,
Cool.
you
I'm
passed-
on my
you passed the
way.
test.
Thanks.
All right.